All right. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get our volume up. Alrighty then. Hopefully we're all good here. Doesn't look like we're dropping any frames. Maybe a little bit. I think we're all right. Anyway, I've been working on some content here for a night or two now. And, got a lot of notes. But this one just really got me this morning. And I figured, you know what? It's time to go on about this because this is just some funny shit, all right? You have these people, and they appear to have originated in England. They're called the tire extinguishers. And these fruit gnats ride around on, I don't know, Segways or hoverboards or, I don't know, pogo balls. Remember those? Pogo ball? Wasn't that a thing? Maybe they got pogo sticks. I don't know. They go around and they deflate people's vehicle tires. And then they leave a not a pamphlet, but a typewritten letter from the tire extinguishers. And of course they're from Great Britain, so they spell tire T-Y-R-E. Proper English. Do you believe? It's a fish and chips and go deflate some tires. Don't mind if I do. Yeah. So this is now, they claimed that they did like 40-some SUVs in New York City's Upper East Side. And I did a little research into it and come to find out one of the victims of this happened to be a female who had to get her son to the doctor. Kind of an emergency type situation. She goes out and her tires on her vehicle are deflated. Now, for those of us that live in Wyoming, it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, I have 5 or 6 air compressors. I've got one in my job trailer out there in the driveway. I've got one with 100 feet of hose in my garage. I'm constantly checking tire pressures all the time. People in New York City probably don't even know how to check the tire pressure. They probably depend on the guy at wherever they take it to get the oil changed to do so. People in New York City, I'm not familiar with the Upper East Side. I'm not familiar with New York City. That's the one place I never want to go. I have no desire to go there whatsoever. People talk about how they love it. It's the greatest place and blah, 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 blah. Nope. Negative, Red Leader. Especially not today. I mean, people are getting shot over nothing out there. I mean, it's a crazy place. They got a nitwit for a mayor. They got a nitwit for a governor. I mean, she's almost just as much of a nitwit as what's his face? Cuomo. I don't know. I mean, she seems to be anyways. She seems to be just as much of a nitwit. and same with the mayor. He worries more about partying and this and that and declaring how he's a vegan, vegetarian. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, New York City is like, I mean, I'm never going to end up there. I can guarantee you that. There are so many other places I'm happy where I'm at, to tell you the truth. But New York City is the last place I want to be. So anyways, these nitwits, these tire extinguishers, have gone out and deflated. They claim they deflated like 40-some SUVs. And then you end up with, now, mothers out there that are listening to this. I mean, if you're listening, tell me, I mean, you're an emergency. Say you got a child that's having some kind of allergic reaction and you can't afford that $600 EpiPen that used to be $30. And now you got to get your child to, some kind of medical treatment immediately. And you go outside and your tires are deflated. Now, I know a lot of ladies that would know exactly what to do. Now, there's a lot of new vehicles also that have a compressor on them and they just fill the tire back up. I believe you can also get valve stems that, You cannot deflate. Now, that all aside, okay, this is just the scenario, and I'm sure that I'm way behind on this. It's been going on for a week or so now. This is just the first I heard of it because there have been a lot of other things more pressing than a bunch of nitwit, ego, social justice warrior, banana bread eating morons, flitting around on whatever mode of transportation. Maybe they ride those Heelys. Maybe they got them shoes. The Heelys, roller skates, rollerblades, something, I don't know. I have no idea. But whatever their mode of transportation is, it doesn't even matter if it's on foot. Okay? Because guess what your shoes are made out of? The same type of shit that your tires are made out of. Right? I mean, petroleum, right? What do they make shoes out of? Petroleum. Unless you're wearing wooden shoes. If you're Danish and you got them wooden shoes on, then okay, you're in the clear. I guarantee these fucking hipsters out there in New York City, though, are not wearing wooden shoes. So we're going to throw that out. We're going to just throw it out. No wooden shoes. Some of them might be barefoot. I wouldn't be running around in New York City barefoot, even on the Upper East Side, which is supposedly the creme de la creme. So, I mean, it's the same as these idiots that go out and sit down in the street and stop traffic. If you say you've got a child or you've got an elderly member of your family that's having some kind of a stroke or a heart attack, and you're trying to get somebody to, medical attention, to a hospital or an emergency room, and you've got a bunch of whiny babies that didn't get their way with their stupid signs sitting down in the fucking street. I mean, I watched that guy, I think it was in Australia. He got out and he was grabbing them people. And I mean, this dude looked like he'd done this thing before, man. I mean, he's an old dude too. He's just grabbing these little punks with one hand and just flinging them off the side of the road. And then these idiots are crawling right back in the street. You are stupid, okay? If you're going to sit in the middle of the street, you're a dumbass, okay? This is not Tiananmen Square. That's an iconic image that's burned in my mind forever. But that action by that person, that took some serious balls. Sitting down and linking your arms, putting on fucking fluorescent vests and holding up, save the polar bear signs and blocking traffic. What are you trying to do? What is it you're doing? You're not gaining any support. You're not gaining any support for your movement by doing these things. Okay? You can, sure, great. That's awesome. Do it. Try it out here. Come out here to Wyoming and sit out there in the middle of the highway and see how that works out for you. I mean, if a car doesn't get you, or a Ford or a Chevy or a Dodge truck, a bear or a fucking mountain lion or a wolf might. I mean, come on out. Give it a whirl. See what happens. Come out and let somebody's air out of their tires out here. See how that plays out for you. You're going to get shot. You're going to get shot straight up. If somebody comes out of their house and you're fucking around with their tires on somebody's, Duramax diesel, it's got 35s on it or whatever, and you're out there fucking with their shit, you're going to get shot. So I came up with a solution. I always come up with solutions to things. This is what I do. Here's my solution. Okay, I'm sitting here thinking about this. Okay, how do you deter somebody from deflating your auto tires? Now, if you go on any number of websites, you can purchase, or you can make this at home. There's recipes for this online. What they call it's a stinky liquid. And it's a stinky bee. I'm not going to say that word because that word is, one of those things that sets people off and this and that. You've all been to high school. Anybody who went to high school with me, you remember guys dropping these things down stairwells and boom, they make a bad smell. So here's my solution to this. If you live in New York City on the Upper East Side and you have an air compressor and you know how to use it. Now, this is all important stuff. You have to know how to use an air compressor. Now, it's not difficult. You also need to know how to check your tire pressure. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to deflate your tires a little bit before you do this. But you're going to take the end of the air hose that connects to your compressor and you're going to get one of these little stinky things, okay? And you're going to crack it, and it's not going to smell good. So you're going to want to put if you're in New York City, you're not going to have a cartridge respirator because you probably don't even know what an air compressor is or what I'm talking about. However, if you do, you take the end of the air hose by the compressor, okay? And you just dump a little bit of that because you don't want to put a bunch of fluid in your tires, right? Because you're going to have a kind of a wobble. It's just going to take a little bit, okay? And you make sure your tires are deflated. You hook that air hose up. You get your air chuck on the end of your air hose, and you go out there and you fill all 4 tires, okay? Just a little bit. You fill it with the stink. Now, if anybody's ever smelled one of these things, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. This shit is bad. It smells so rotten. I mean, and you can make it yourself. I mean, you take a little Coca-Cola, you take some stick matches, just bust off the red phosphorus on there, and some Coca-Cola, and you crack an egg, and you get yourself a funnel, and you dump that shit in a 2-liter bottle, and you put a little of that, like, you can put a little of that fish sauce, maybe some Worcestershire in there. You let that thing sit out in the sun for a day, you got some stank on you. And I guarantee, first one of these nitwits that goes down in there and pushes down that valve stem on your vehicle tire, that's probably going to be the last time they do that. And set up a camera. Film it. Please do. Please film. I mean, I would love to see somebody do this. I wonder if you can do the glitter thing. The glitter B word, not bitch. The other one that sets people off. I was going to look one of these things up here on just to see what we got on here. I'm sure there's video of somebody reacting to one of these things. Here's one in the school. And now I'm not promoting it. Don't do this in your school, kids. Don't do nothing. And just go to school and be cool. Like, don't do any bullshit. You know, I mean, school's bullshit enough as it is. We don't need no more of this. You know, you're going to trigger some fucking wackadoodle to do something stupid if you do this. So I'm not even going to pull this up on a school. That's how sensitive we are now. I mean, this used to be a funny prank that, happened when, it happened all the time at school. You know, here's one for a package thief. This one would be good. There's some good ones on that where they do like the glitter and the people take the package and they put like a camera and a tracking device on a damn thing and oh my God. Let's see. Portland porch pirate gets a stinky surprise. I'll pull this one up. All right. Let me just pull this up on the monitor and get us some wider view. Get us a little volume. Volume. And let's see what happens to this cat. This would be pretty good.
Are here, and so too are thieves.
All right.
Snatching up packages from doorsteps.
It's a crazy epidemic.
The porch pirate problem is one Matt Coates has become familiar with since moving to Southeast Portland.
Feeling so violated, like to have somebody come up into your space.
Well, you live in Portland, dog.
That's yours.
But this isn't your typical porch pirate story. This one involves some sweet, stinky revenge.
I had something disappear off the porch, and it was really frustrating. So
This should be pretty good.
It would probably happen again. So I filled up a box full of dog poop.
That's right.
So, dog poop. Okay, that's a good one. I don't think you can put dog shit in your tires on your car, but this is, he's got a dog. So, he's got a dog, he's got a beard, so he knows how to handle and deal with dog shit, I would say. So this should be good. Now, what he's going to use as a propellant or whatever, this one might be a good one.
This is a story of a porch pirate, a pooch named Marlo.
Marlo's ready. Marlo's down. Marlo's like, listen, that was my bark box that showed up on the door that you stole, motherfucker. It's like, I'm brewing up a stinky ass shit for you.
Packed it full, left it on the porch, and I thought, well, let's see how long it takes.
It only took 3 days.
Yeah, it went quick.
And these security cameras caught the criminal
Nice.
in the act.
One of the reasons I got all the video cameras is I knew that it wasn't going to stop people from stealing packages, but I'd have great footage when they did do it.
And he got plenty of it. First, you see the crook hit Matt's neighbor's house, stealing his holiday light projector right off the front lawn. Then he grabs Matt's bait package before going to the other house next door. That neighbor tells me the thief made off with $120 worth of new clothes. Matt's package, not as expensive, but still priceless.
Oh, good boy. Good boy.
You got a package full of Marlowe.
Good boy.
Matt didn't get to see this Grinch's face when he opened his special delivery, but a friend texted it worked and found his payback package 4 blocks away on the street.
I was really excited, came home, my wife had gone and picked up the...
Yeah, there have been some of these people that have done the glitter thing. It's, pretty funny. And then everybody's got the, the what do you call it? Is it the nest or the ring or whatever? I don't have it because you kind of, by default, when you get one of those, you pretty much sign like an agreement with law enforcement. So I do have cameras on my house. And the other thing you can do is you can take old cell phones and you can make them into surveillance cameras. Real easy to do, just so you know. I would recommend having some kind of surveillance. You never know what you're going to run into. You just don't. You just don't know. We've got people being secretly flown around the country at night that are coming here illegally, and I don't have anything at all against immigrants whatsoever. We're all fucking immigrants in one way or another. And those of us that are alive today, we had nothing to do with, for the most part. Now, granted, I do know people that have they've come from other countries here. But, most of the people were born here. And so that's why I've always got kind of an issue with the whole nationalism thing. That's why I've got an issue with the, proud to be an American. Come on. You didn't choose where you were born. Nobody made the decision. Now, if you were able to make that decision while you were in the womb and you decided to be born in America, then that was in the United States. It's probably, it's not a bad call. I mean, if you got a choice between here or, the Congo or Senegal or Somalia, I mean, if you have a choice in the womb, you're going to pick here, right? But nobody does. Nobody has a choice. So for any of us to act like we're better than somebody else is foolish. However, the other thing too, you can't go, I can't go, there's a lot of countries I can't even go to, because I got a fucking scar on my record. Which is fine. It is what it is. I don't really care to go anywhere right now anyway. I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I like my program. I like what I do. And, I'm content. I'm happy. Everything's fucking gravy. But if I were to say I want to go to a different country, if I were to get on a plane and go over to Spain or France, I'm not going to be able to just waltz in there and just post up. There's no country on the planet where you can just go post up, except for here. And as a citizen of this country, if you say something about that, then you're labeled a racist, xenophobe, this, that, and the other thing. I love all my brothers and sisters out there. From where, if you're on this, like I was talking to somebody earlier, and back in the day, if I ever had to answer the question about where I was from, I would say Earth, or I'd make something up, right? Like I got I found an old college baseball program a while back, and I looked at it and I laughed because I had big old mutton chops. I was, a skinnier, much better in shape version of myself at, 19, 20 years old, Mr. Baseball, whatever, but I remember the day, you had to, like, during batting practice or whatever, they'd come in with the camera and you'd have to get a photo done, and then they'd ask you some questions. And so they asked like where I was from. I said Chickasaw, Kansas. Do I know if there's a Chickasaw, Kansas? I have no idea. I'm sure there is. It sounds like a name for a town in Kansas. And if there is, then shout out to Chickasaw. Asked my parents' names. I said Juan and Consuela. Favorite athlete? I said Lane Staley. I don't remember what else. But anyway, the program came out. I remember my coach, I got the call up into the office, and I was used to that because I was always getting called up into the coach's office. And he sits me down. He goes, well, I recruited you. And I know you're not from Chickasaw, Kansas. And I know your parents' name's not Juan and Consuela. And who is Lane Staley? And I'm like, Lane Staley's an incredible athlete. This, of course, before Lane's demise. This was back when Alice in Chains was the shit. This was like 1996, 1997. And just coincidentally, I happened to be at the Rainbow, which was like a reggae bar, kind of a, basically reggae, in the U District in Seattle, right up the street from where I lived. I hung out there all the time. And it was one of those times where they had, in Washington at that time, they were floating back and forth between allowing smoking in bars or not. So at that time at the Rainbow, you couldn't smoke inside. And so my roommate and I were down there watching, I think the name of the band was Crack Sabbath. They used to sing this song called We're Making Bacon. We're Making Bacon. I love that song. Making Bacon. Anyway, they were taking a set break, so we step out the side. It's your typical rainy Seattle evening, and we're standing outside smoking a cigarette. And at the apartment building across the street, all of a sudden you see the meat wagon come in, And I sarcastically look at my roommate and I go, oh, look at that. I said, I wonder if somebody finally found Lane Staley. Well, we woke up in the morning, having our coffee, getting ready to go to work, and turn on the news, and sure enough, there's video footage right where we were standing. It was literally, we were right there, and they found Lane. And so I always felt bad about that. Anyways, I digress. So I put that in there that Lane Staley was my favorite athlete, and I don't even know where I was going with that. Got all sidetracked. However, we're talking about the stinky tire, and I want to try this, but I'm not worried. Nobody's going to come up here and try and deflate my tires. Not that I know of. If you want to come do it, that'd be awesome, because I am going to do this, and I'm going to film it, and I'm going to show everybody how to do it. So we will do a how-to video on this. You know what? Actually, I made some of that stuff, and I think it's in a bottle out in my garage somewhere, hidden away. It's probably really nasty by now. I think I put fish sauce in it and some Worcestershire. Ooh, I'll bet that's gnarly. I'll bet it's really gnarly now. But I mean, you're going to probably have to clean out your hose because it's going to be in there. If you got an old hose, like I got so many air hoses, I got old shitty cracked ones. I'm going to use one of those. I'm not going to use one of my Flexzilla hoses because those are pretty expensive, and I don't want to ruin one. But I think it would be absolutely hilarious to see one of these nitwits go up with, I don't know what they're using to deflate the tires. I don't think they're smart enough to get a valve stem remover. They're probably just going up with a flat head or a Phillips head screwdriver or some kind of a blunt object, maybe even just a pen or a pencil. Who knows? I mean, these are eraser heads. They're probably using a pen or a pencil. I mean, these are not the most bright individuals on the planet, even though they claim to be. I mean, they're talking about, if you don't drive an electric car, then blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, dude, you're an idiot, And then we got, to get me off on another tangent, we got Nitwit the other day. He's supposed to be doing everything that he can to combat these fuel prices. And he's got an opportunity to speak with CEOs, heads of, Chevron, Exxon. And he goes to the wrong meeting and sits there and talks about wind. Okay, now, last I checked, the F-250 Super Duty 6.0, yeah, I know, guys, you're going to give me shit. I got a 6.0. Now, I've done everything to it. Trust me, I've put everything into it. I'm so far into that truck, I can't get rid of it, or I would. If I'd have known, I would never bought it. But I trusted what I heard from the dealer. You might see an act of brutality here in a minute. I got these fucking moths flying around, and I probably shouldn't do it on camera. I made my own bug assault. Have you seen those? All you gotta do is just take an old air rifle pellet gun and just put a little paper towel there in the bottom of it, and you can dump that right there. Kosher salt. Right down the end of that thing. You give her about 10 good pumps, and you got a moth flying around like I got one in here right now. And you just wait for it to go on the ceiling or someplace where you're not really going to hit anything. I got rock salt all over here. I've blasted spiders and everything else with it. But it's fun. And it's not $45. I was sitting here the other day and I saw a spider on the ceiling. I'm like, damn, I wish I had one of those bug assaults. And I got online and they wanted like $45. And I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, fuck, I got a little pellet gun over there. I was like, I wonder if I can make a bug assault out of one of those. And I grabbed it and I did. And it's sitting right here next to me. So, and I'm not even going to pick it up because I don't want to even, the thing looks like something that I shouldn't have, even though it's just a pellet gun. And it's full of rock salt. And I keep it sitting right here on my, right here next to my desk. I got a little holder here on the side. So if I got a spider or these millers, moths, they fly around and they flit off of things and they make noise and they piss me off in general. But the good thing is, folks, here's a good thing about the moths, is we know they're going to be here this year, so that means that bear attacks are going to be down. Now, city folks, you're sitting here going, what the fuck is this idiot talking about? Here's the deal. There's a moth migration that happens, there's 1 year out of 5 that it'll skip. Okay, so you have 4 years of moths. Okay, grizzly bears, a major food source for a grizzly bear is a moth. Okay? And I'm going to pull something up that will show you that I'm not just, pulling this out of my ass. You'll see them up on the scree slides and stuff in the mountains here, and they'll be they're turning boulders over because the moths, they basically set up shop underneath these boulders. They will eat pounds and pounds and pounds. And that's a major food source for them. But the year that the moths don't migrate, they don't have that food source, and there's always a higher number of grizzly bear attacks, encounters, what have you, with people when the year that we don't have the moths. And this is no lie. I'm not making this up, folks. I don't make up anything. Not the stinky tires. I really hope somebody hears me and does this because I think it's going to be great. But let's look this up. Let's just go moths and grizzly bears, and we'll go Wyoming, just because we have a lot of them. A lot of the grizzlies are right here. All right, let's see what comes up. Okay, this is human access at grizzly bear moth feeding sites on Shoshone National Forest, which is right here where I live. This is from the Buffalo Bill Center of the West, which is right down the hill from where I live. Well, let's see what we got. Let's see what it is.
Grab a seat, get situated, get comfortable. I want to thank you all.
I probably know some of these guys.
First in-person and virtual presentation of 2022. My name is Korienko. I am the interim curator of the Draper Natural History Museum.
I've painted that place.
So here we have peak log entries from one moth site showing an apparent...
Okay, so 2014, we had no moths, as you can see by this graph.
In addition, the Forest Service has had continued interest in...
I just wanted to see some footage of them. We don't need to go through all this. I just want to see some... It's really crazy to watch a big-ass bear, though. Up on the side of just I'm talking boulders that are the size of Volkswagen bugs, and these things are they just tip them over and just go after the moths. It's a major food source for them. So anyway, while I don't like the moths being in the house, oh, there he goes right in front of me. Oh, I had a good, I'm going to get him though. I'll get him, but I'm not going to do it on the camera. Let's see if we can just find. There's got to be footage on here of them eating. Here we go. Flipping rocks for insects. This is funny. Oh, God, I hate that notification. It absolutely makes me nuts. Ladies and gentlemen, I sat on here yesterday and I tried for hours. I went through every app on my MacBook. I went through every app on my iPhone. I went through every app on my iPad. I deleted every notification and I still get these. I've never set that up. If anybody has any information on how to get rid of that, please ping me. Let me know. I'm a relative idiot when it comes to this stuff. So here, let's check out grizzly bear flipping rocks for insects. This doesn't look like a very big bear or a big stone that he's unturning, but it could be interesting. I guess we don't have any sound on this either. This is a silent video. Can you imagine running in? I mean, anybody who hasn't ever seen one, these are, I am terrified of these fucking things. And just flipping them over. He's like, oh. These son of a bit, when he stands up, he's 10 to 14 feet tall. We've camped places where there are claw marks 14 feet up a tree, where the bear boxes are all just scratched to shit. I mean, the dogs are pissed all night. We've fished places where you'll be going up a creek or a river, and we just catch and release. You know, you don't want to be carrying any fish around up there in these areas. And you'll see a flash out of your eye, and you turn around. The dogs will be barking, and you'll see something going, and they'll have serpentine behind you. I mean, this is an absolutely terrifying creature, especially when you see one in real life. I mean, those son of a bitches can run 25 miles an hour. I mean, they're just an incredible amount of power behind that animal. They scare the shit out of me. I'll be honest. I mean, I ain't even gonna lie. I don't like being around them. I don't like seeing them. Everybody thinks they're, it's great to go get a picture of one. That's fine. But, when you're up close in person, we were on a trip one year and we came down off the catwalk and there was two of them right down there in this meadow. And I mean, it was not a good scenario. We had green pack horses that had never been around bears. They went nuts. Panniers it almost turned into a really bad scenario. It really did. I mean, you just have to respect them. And I do. I respect them enough to say I don't want nothing to do with a damn grizzly bear. Anyway, off on another tangent. Now you got some information for all you folks in the city about grizzly bears. When the moths are around, it's a good sign. So while I don't like them in my studio, I do like the fact that they are here, and I hope they're here in abundance because it makes a great food source and it eliminates a lot of the bear attacks. I mean, because when they're looking for food, foraging, and what have you, and they don't have that food source, then obviously you're looking more like a pork sandwich than you were on a year when the moths were here. So, what else we got going on? Oh, we got Russia shooting a missile into a Ukrainian mall that happened to be across the street from an armament plant at a place where munitions were being kept that had been shipped from the U.S. The mall has been shut down since 2015, and the footage from it, if you look at the footage, you'll notice there are no vehicles in the parking lot anywhere. They said there were 1,000 people inside. They came up with 18 confirmed deaths and 30-some people missing now. I don't know, but when you say there's 1,000 or more, which is what came from Volodymyr Zelensky, and then what you see is 18 is the number, and Russia says one thing. They say that they had these smart missiles that were aimed right at this facility, which is across the street from this mall that's been closed down, allegedly since 2015. If you look on there is a Facebook site for this place, and it says permanently closed. I've been on there. I've seen it. I'm not saying one way or another, but that's what it says. And it's just kind of weird that there's no vehicles at all. Now, if there's 1,000 people inside, there's going to be some vehicles out there in that parking lot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, granted, a lot of people who got out, maybe they moved their vehicles because they don't, but there were people teaming around, but I think they were just local townies just coming to see what was up. It's an interesting thing. This is not the first time this has happened. And this was in Kremenchuk, if I'm saying that right. Okay. Anyway, it's just another thing, you know. And I guess something that I was writing about yesterday, and I've got a blog going out now. You know, I was watching a lot of old stuff about, you know, Jacques Fresco, you know, thinking about resource-based economy, a resource-based society, a society in which everybody had what they wanted. I started thinking about borders, okay? And everybody wants to get upset about the borders. Now, in society such as we have it, no borders are necessary. However, see that stupid notification again. If we lived in a world where there weren't borders, now borders are going to take care of themselves. What's the purpose of borders? I mean, it goes back to, you know, the times when we had to, you know, that was how we had security, right? We would group up in numbers, build fences, build walls, hire people to protect us, train people to protect us, build armies, launch hot oil at one another. Okay. We don't live in those times anymore. You know, I mean, the way I look at it is that, I mean, if we didn't really worry about it, I think borders would take care of themselves. People would naturally end up in places that they liked. You would have goofballs that would end up in a place like this, where it's colder than shit in the wintertime, and it gets hotter than hell, and everything's on fire in the summer. You'd have people that would you know, naturally you know, gravitate towards the tropical regions, and you'd have shitholes where nobody would possibly be, or, you know, a few people would be. But the way I see it is that everybody on this rock, we're all brothers and sisters. When are we going to start looking at it like that? I mean, the way this has all been set up, this nation building, it's division, you know? I mean, America was founded and a genocide was committed on Native Americans. Now, were there people here before Native Americans? I don't know. And nobody really knows, because it seems like that it's a perpetual cycle in the existence of the earth, that there are cataclysmic events. You have things like Pompeii. Obviously, where I live, and you can look this up, whatever you want, this place was underwater. Geologically, there's a lot of crazy anomalies, like Heart Mountain. Directly that way, I can see it right out my window. It's upside down. Age-wise, upside down. There's a lot of theories about how it came there. There's a great big valley before Heart Mountain where there's a lot of rounded glacial stones. The thought is maybe there was a volcanic eruption, an earthquake. The formation shifted and was pushed across that area. You know, there's a theory of a huge deluge that happened 12,500 to 13,000 years ago. Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson have basically come up with that theory, and I would tend to believe that they're correct, because where I go and the things that I find on a daily basis lead me to believe that there was something that happened, and it wasn't too long ago. Now, if you give me 2 seconds, I can show you, because I have some of these items right over here, and I will be, just give me 1 second. All right, that didn't take long, did it? We're back. I'm going to show you here. Let me get my sophisticated do-wackies on. I haven't even washed this one off yet. So it's got some dirt on it. I don't even have my spray bottles up here. You can see this stone is very rounded in nature. Okay, now where I live, it's a lot of sedimentary rock, a lot of sandstone, a lot of limestone. It's sharp, jagged in nature. There's a lot of granite. You don't find a lot of rounded rock unless you're up on a river. Okay, so where I live in town, and where there hasn't been a river, there's Sulphur Creek that runs through there. It's a little creek, okay? And I've found, these are called gastroliths, okay? This rounded rock. This is, when I find these, they're where they don't belong. They stick out like a sore thumb. And they're on the surface of the earth. Now, this particular one I happened to find on top of a plateau. Cody, Wyoming is roughly 1 mile in elevation. And where I was at, when I looked at my altimeter, I was around 6,000 feet. And this was on the ground in the wide open. And I've found some of them upwards of 20, 30 pounds. These are what they would call a gizzard stone. Like a chicken or a bird. They pick up stones, right? Because it helps them process the food. Okay, now this little guy right here, I don't know if you can see that. This is just a little tip. This is the what you'd call the beak of an ancient squid. That's a belemnite, okay? I've got hundreds of these. I can take you out to a place where you can find 1,000 of them in a day if you want, okay? That's supposedly roughly 200 million years old. This is what we call out here in Wyoming a devil's toenail, also known as a gryphate. And this is a 200 million year old oyster is what this is. But it looks like a toenail. And I've got some huge ones. This is just one I grabbed right now, but I've got a bunch of them. And I take them and I inlay them in my tables, and I pour epoxy over them. They look really cool. You know, I like to put a lot of different fossils in there. I've found, you name it, dinosaur bones, all sorts of things. There's wolves like literally a half mile from my house. There's antelope and deer everywhere. I just, I told the story about the rattlesnake the other day. That was a real awakening for me because I was straight on stupid status on that day. I was on jackass status. That would have been, it probably would have been the end of me because I was up on that plateau. There's only one way up, one way down. And I took a knee literally 6 inches from probably the biggest rattlesnake I've ever seen. And I was stupid. I was on my dirt bike. I had my camera around my neck. I saw a great shot of Carter Mountain. I was up there on the edge of the plateau, just kind of tooling around, just looking at shit, just looking around, doing what I do. I just go out there and explore. I'll find a spot that looks interesting, and I'll park the bike, and I'll get off, and I'll just start hoofing it. Taking photos, just looking around. The land tells a story, and it's to me, it's peaceful, it's relaxing, and I enjoy being out there by myself and just taking it in and kind of looking at the story that the landscape has to tell, because it definitely tells a story. And I learn more about it every day. And I'm going to go out there as soon as we get done with this. So I'm sitting there and I take a knee and I see the movement out of my eye. Now I still have my goggles on. I still got my motorcycle helmet on. I got my Raycons in my ear. I'm blasting Metallica through my phone. I'm not even that far off the bike. The bike is still idling. Like I was just getting off the bike because my bigger lens, it's not resistant to movement. So I don't like hauling a tripod. So typically I'll get down and take a knee, rest an elbow on my knee, put another elbow against my side, and then I can stabilize the camera enough to get a decent shot, which is what I'm trying to do at the time. Take a knee, see a movement out of my eye. I'm thinking, oh, it's just it's either a little bird or it's a little mouse or, a little marmot or something, And I look down and it's this big ass fucking rattlesnake. And he's up like this. He's got, he's looking and I can see the rattle is what I saw. That rattle was just, well, I got my headphones in like a dumbass and don't hear anything. So now Okay. I've been around rattlesnakes my whole life. I don't know what I was thinking. It was just a brain fart, and it could have been detrimental because, I was literally, my knee was, I was 6 inches from that snake, and the fucker was pissed. Like, he was like, dude, you just came in and took a knee, like, right in my fucking, like, in my apartment. You know what I mean? And I'm like, whoa. First reaction, wanted to just fucking freak out. I sat there for a second, looking at it. Rattles going. Snake's reared back, looking at me. He can't see me because I got, my goggles. You can't see through them. They're smoked black. Slowly reach down into my pocket. Pull out my fucking knife, my Tennessee toothpick. Pull it behind my back. I don't flip it open like I usually do when I'm on it. Usually I'm just like, this time I'm like real slow. I don't want to make any sudden noise, no sudden movement. And anybody that knows me knows I got bad knees. I'm beat up. So I'd real slowly stand up and start to back away from this thing. And it chilled. It stayed put. But that was one where I got back on that bike and I got off that plateau and I got down in the flats and I just stopped and took my helmet off and just shook my head and went, Jesus Christ, you're an idiot. You get bit by one of those motherfuckers out there, man, and you're in trouble. You're in trouble, especially where I was at. I don't know what my reaction to a rattlesnake bite. I've never been bit by one. Some people have an allergic reaction. Some people have a reaction within 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes up to 6 hours. But the thing is you have to get to medical as quick as possible. And it can affect you to the point where you're incapacitated. And where I was at, no one knew where I was. No one would have been able to find me, much less get to me. I was in a place where you could get up there on a four-wheeler or a dirt bike. You're not taking a car or a truck up that road. There's no fucking way. It's just too burly. And there's only one way up, one way down. The whole plateau is surrounded by rim rock. And guess what? I realized real quickly that whole area is probably teeming with rattlesnakes. So guess what? I'm not going up there anymore to look around that area until wintertime comes again. And those fuckers are all, sleeping for the winter. So anyway, that's a little tip for you. Now we've got into the wildlife side of things. We talked about grizzly bears. We talked about the snakes. I know we've talked about the snakes before anyhow, but still an interesting story. Oh, I'm just looking at some of my notes here. A lot of this stuff I'm not going to get into, because I'm kind of sick of it. Here's my thing. Here's my deal. Here's where I'm at right now with things, okay? And you take it or leave it. But, there's that notification. I swear to God, if I find that notification, I'm going to pow right in a kisser. I think what we need to do is we need to stop operating out of fear, okay? And there's a statistic, and I used to tell people this that worked for me or with me, whether I was a manager someplace or owning my own business. I'd tell people that, look, 90% of the general population are morons. I'm not calling you a moron, but you know what? You do the math, that means 9 out of 10. That means 1 out of 10 isn't a moron. How do we get to not be morons? Well, we have to be morons first, okay? So anyways. But what morons do, morons are more dangerous than idiots, okay? There's a difference here, and I don't know if I need to get into this, but an idiot is kind of harmless, right? Like an idiot, you know that an idiot is an idiot, right? Like Steve Martin, a jerk, right? Idiot. He's a jerk. He's an idiot, But then you get into morons, right? Like Joe Biden is a fucking moron. George Bush Jr., moron. Donald Rumsfeld, moron. People in dangerous positions with lots of authority that are unpredictable and dangerous. That's a moron, okay? And 9 out of 10 people fall into that category. They can't read. They're just stupid. Now, I was a moron the other day with the snake thing by getting myself in it. Now, I think I handled it the way I should have by not panicking and not getting all out of control and getting all herky-jerky. Had I jumped straight up, had I flicked my knife open quickly, that thing would have hit me. And I wear boots that go up just right below my knees. Now, a lot of times when a rattlesnake bites, they don't release the venom. They have they have a mechanism of how dangerous they think the threat is that you're putting on them as to whether or not they're going to release the venom or not. If they're, and a lot of times they just don't. They'll just hit you and let you know, hey, But I mean, you don't know. You still got to get in. I mean, if anybody ever seen anybody catch one of them things and watch that venom run out of those fangs, you don't want that shit in you. And you can't buy the antidote. You got to go. You have to get to medical immediately. And like my buddy, what's up, Casey Gifford, told me the other day, he said the same thing that I always tell everybody. It's like you go to urgent care, emergency room. You're not trying to go to a doctor. You're not trying to make no appointment. You're getting your ass to an emergency facility immediately where they have the antidote on hand, because you got to get that at once. I mean, the longer you wait, the worse it can become. I watched an old guy the other day. He was fucking around with some snake. Fucking thing bit him twice. Fucking guy died trying to get to he was out there fucking with it. Driving down the road, sees the snake, gets out and starts fucking with it. It's like the Bill Burr routine. How'd you get bit by that snake, Bill? Were you fucking with it? And dude died. So, I mean, the first thing to not be a moron is that you have to realize that you don't know anything. You don't know a damn thing. And in order for you to even have any kind of intelligence whatsoever, then you have to understand that. You have to come to terms with that you don't know it all. You don't, and I don't know shit. I'm a moron. I'm a useful idiot. That's it. I can do some things. I try to learn every day. That's it. I fuck shit up all the time. I break things. I ruin things. I ruin relationships. I ruin vehicles. I ruin tools. It's a comedy of errors. And I know that. I'm not easily embarrassed, and I know that in order to learn about stuff, then that's what we have to do. But I mean, looking at the world right now, it's like you have to ask yourself: Are we at the point of no return? Have we gone past that? Have we burned our bridges to such an extent, like what the Ukrainians did? They blew up a bunch of bridges and left troops on the other side because they were worried that Russia. So they leave their own people. They said the friendly fire. Okay, so that's ridiculous. They said the friendly fire is just out of control over there. You don't know who's shooting at you. We won't go there. So, okay. But we have to ask ourselves, are we at that point? Because we are stupid. I mean, how many people watch those idiots on The View and listen to the shit that those idiots talk about? Who listens to Whoopi Goldberg or Joy Behar? Meghan McCain. I mean, come on. These people they're morons. Who listens to watches CNN? Brian Stelter. Do you know how long that dude would last? Like, say, in the Old West? Not very long. I mean, my litmus test on this, and this is kind of weird and stupid and goofy, but when I'm in a crowded place, I look around and I take notice of the people around me, and I think to and here's my litmus test. I go, okay, zombie apocalypse happens right now. Who lives? Who survives? Nope. Definitely not. I mean, I do this all over in airports. It's just taking in your surroundings and the people that you're around. I do the same in bars. I guess it's maybe a conditioning from, I haven't worked as a bouncer. You tend to, you look at body language. Also from, being locked up in prison. I mean, and it's always if I'm working a bar, which I hope to never do again, but if I'm, doing that job, and you got some local townie idiot that's counting how many Budweisers he's drank and doing Jaeger bombs and just getting stupid and running his mouth and getting a little sloppy and then starting to threaten people that are smaller than him, you don't really worry about that guy. It's like, you know, I mean, he does it once a month, twice a month, whatever. But then you look past him and you got the guy over there in the corner. He's sitting by himself. You know, he's sipping a beer. He's not guzzling. He's got his back to a corner, someplace where no one can come up behind him. You know, nobody knows him. He's real calm, real cool. You know, sits there with the same beer for an hour. Guy's not getting out of control. Mediation. He's just sitting there. He's checking the place out. Maybe he's meeting some. Who knows what he's got going on. That's the guy. That's the dude that you sit there and you go, I got my eye on that guy. Because you know when something's going to pop off, that dude, you can tell. The guy knows how to handle himself. He's not going to say anything. He doesn't have to. He knows he doesn't have to. Why would he? He's not going to front himself off. That's the guy you're concerned about. The loudmouth, I know the loudmouth. I've grabbed him and thrown him out the door a number of times. Big deal. He's harmless. He gets loud. And then whoever he gets into it with is usually the same type of idiot. So then you have two idiots. The worst thing that happens is you end up between the two idiots and, you know, you get sucker punched upside the head. But if you're doing that job, that's what you get paid to do. You don't try and go all roadhouse on them. You know, I hate guys like that work in that profession as a bouncer that just think that they're there to just kick somebody's ass. It's pretty stupid. It's like you're paid to take a punch, dude. You're not paid to go in there and you know, put on a fight night. I mean, the reason you're there is to de-escalate scenarios and keep everybody safe. And if that means you take a punch in the mouth, and you know, hey, so it goes. But anyway, no, I was just thinking about fear and how all this stuff, that everything that's going on right now is just based on fear. And, you know, everybody's talking about, you know, this, we got to, you know, and we got to come together. And you know what that means? It means nothing. It means being silent. It means sitting back and doing nothing and hoping that the next person is going to do something. You're waiting for a fucking hero. Well, guess what? No one's coming. No one's coming. Okay? There ain't no fucking hero. There ain't no fucking white knight out there that's coming to save you all. Trump ain't coming to save you all. DeSantis ain't coming to save you all. Fucking Joe Biden, damn sure see what he's all about. Dude can't ride a bike, can't walk upstairs. Thankfully, he's okay. That's, you know, I don't wish any harm on anybody. Not even on the people that I really can't stand and that I don't have a bit of respect for. You know? I don't wish harm on anybody. There are certain people I definitely have a distaste for. And it's people that take advantage of others. And I feel like that's what our politicians have been doing. And we want to sit there and put our trust in them. And we feel like that we can cast our vote, and that, you know, every other election we vote one way or another. They're talking about all the Democrats that have, you know, are you know, converted, like, you know, some religious conversion to the Republican Party. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. These people are not leaders. These people that we elect, they're not leaders. There's nothing put in place that qualifies them as leaders besides money. Okay? In order to get elected in this country, you have to have a money source. You have to have, you know, some connection to money. That's what it takes. It's a popularity contest. It's like, do you have enough money to throw at this thing and get your ass elected and get yourself in power? Do you have that kind of money? And then once you get there, you've got the lobbyists that, hey, we got the money to, you know, and we got this guy's past. They dig up dirt on you like Lenny Dykstra used to do in baseball back in the day. He'd look up on dirt on the umpires. If they called a strike on him he didn't like, he'd turn around in the middle of the game and say, oh, all right. And he'd have names. I mean, he had private investigators watching these umpires in their private lives. He knew dirt on them. He'd turn around and be, oh, what if I tell Clarice about what you were doing last week? You know? Guess what? He's getting the next call. I mean, this is what the lobbyists do. You know, they got dirt on these people. And these people fall into these scenarios where they get taken, they get taken advantage of. They think they're some kind of big shot. Next thing you know, they got blackmail and they got shit hanging over their heads. And the only way they're going to get through it is by playing ball. And they keep playing ball because it's too embarrassing to get. I mean, can you imagine those people down there at Epstein's Island? Where that shit to get out? Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, she got a 20. The whole thing, I'm not even going to get into the whole thing with the other dude. I know what happened there. I don't have to say it. I know. I've been in those joints. I know how they are. And I know the possibilities of what happened actually happening the way they said it did. You know? I mean, so anyway, it's just a wild world right now. But fear is the big thing that I think is pushing it. Everybody right now, we're scared. And we shouldn't be. We need to stand for something, though. And it's not about holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It's not about that. Now, that's great. We do need to be, we need to recognize people as people. But you can't just say that because somebody is from someplace or certain, if their skin tone is certain. I mean, I'm kind of brown right now. I'll be pasty in the wintertime. Does that change who I am? I mean, even to me, I was thinking about that too. The idea that we call, you know, people from Africa, African Americans, we call black. There's no black people. People aren't black. Come on. You're talking about a pigment of skin. You know, I'm more worried about the people that act like don't get me confused with a conspiracy theorist. I'm concerned about the people that behave like reptiles, cold-blooded, will cannibalize themselves or anybody that gets in their way. They don't give a shit. But they'll sit there and they'll fucking shine you on. They'll lure you in, shine you on, make you think that you're their friend, that they give a shit about you. You know, like the current administration, like any administration. In order to hold that office of president, you have to be a megalomaniac. You have to be, you know, either a sociopath, narcissist. There's something ain't right to want to have that position, to want to be that person. I don't get it. Most good men won't ever get that or understand that or want to be in a position like that. You know? I've been put in positions like that where I'm in charge. In volatile places too, you know, and that's the last thing that you want. You do not want. You don't want that. I mean, even being the boss of your own company is, it's glorified babysitting. You know, you got to manage personalities. All you do is write checks. You know, you just feel like you're spinning your wheels, and at the end of the year, you make about the same amount of money you would if you were out there on your own. So, I don't know. There we are. The whole thing with Russia and Ukraine, we just need to get the fuck out of that. We need to be uninvolved. You know, we need to be uninvolved. I got a bunch of other stuff here that I took a bunch of notes on. I just don't feel like doing a deep dive right now. But what I did think was funny was the whole band of nitwits that's deflating people's tires. I don't know if that's a crime or not. Maybe it's a malicious mischief, but people are burning down buildings and pulling guns and firing them at people, and they're getting out with no bail or anything. So I don't think they're really going to fucking do much to a bunch of weirdo, goddamn thing, a bunch of weirdo Antifa fuckers that are out there, like deflating your tires. I'm going to look into it, but I would look into it, people, if you're in the city, and see if I think that you can get a valve stem that is like a anti-deflate. I don't know, though. Then they might slash the tires. But if they do that, then you definitely got them on a crime. But, like I said, if you do the stinky tire, you can get on Amazon. You can get on, a lot of different websites. And you know what I'm talking about. It's a little jar with some fluid in it. Or you can take a Coke bottle and some Coca-Cola and an egg and a couple match heads and put it out in the sun for a day. And take an old ass air hose, take the end by the compressor, make a makeshift funnel out of like a, something like this. This is what I used to put rock salt in my bug of salt. Just a little funnel. It ain't gonna take much. Just put a little bit of that shit in there, plug it into your air hose or your compressor. Go out to your vehicle, air that thing up. Don't over air it. You don't want to have to let air out of this thing once you put that shit in there, and don't put a lot in it. Just a little bit. That's all it's going to take. You don't want a bunch of fluid in there flying around. You're going to be driving down the road all out of balance and shit. Just a little bit. You just want to get some stank on it. And I guarantee if you have a camera on there, when some idiot tries to come up and deflate your tires, you're going to laugh your ass off, folks. It's the solution. I'm telling you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a video of it just to show you how to do it. Because if you do happen to have a compressor and you know how to use it, which I know a lot of city people don't. I'm not stereotyping people in the city, but most of y'all in the city, you know as well as I do that you're not very good at turning wrenches. You don't know the difference between a Phillips head and Torx head screw. You probably have a Black & Decker garbage ass, drill with a half dead battery. You might have a Stanley toolbox that's never been used. Your wife might have like one of the pink hammers with the baby blue women's toolbox. So you probably don't know much of anything. Some of you probably do, but most of you don't. Most of you rely on Jiffy Lube and your mechanic to rip you off and haven't fixed anything. My advice, number 1, do the stink tire. Number 2, next time you've got some kind of next time your vehicle's up for an oil change your own oil. Okay? Start with that. Change your own oil. Find out where your spare tire is. Learn to use your jack. Figure out where your lug wrench is. Figure out how to change a tire. Next thing you know, you got a light bulb out, you got a blinker out. Guess what? You're out there and you're taking the thing apart and you're fixing it. Next thing you know, you're not spending $85 an hour to have somebody rip you off, tell you that you're out of blinker fluid, and you're so dumb you don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Try it. Learn something new. Because let me tell you what, your shitty piece of paper from the university is not going to do you much good when the shit hits the fan. If you don't know how to perform simple maintenance, simple fixes on vehicles, things around your house, you're in trouble. You're in trouble because nobody's coming. That's the message. Nobody's coming. So, I'm going to do a video later today on this. Well, if I can get a hold of some of this shit. If not, I'll make some, but it'll probably take tomorrow if I got to make it. But I'll show you how to do it. And who says you can't put a little stink juice in your tires? Just a little bit. Just enough. I mean, I guarantee it would be so funny to watch some Antifa doofus go up and, whatever they're using. I don't know what they're using to get. I'm surprised they even know how to deflate a tire. Probably because they're riding bicycles. They probably take a pen or something and go up, to see the look on their face when they push down that thing and that stink comes out of there right in their face. Oh my God. If anybody out there has the wherewithal, the balls, or the knowledge to do this, I implore you, please do it, and please figure out how to film it. I mean, I might just have some unassuming idiot that I know along the way just going, hey, go let the air out of my front tire a little bit. It's overfilled. Film it. Who don't I like? That's mean-spirited. I wouldn't do that. I don't know any Antifa. We don't have too many Antifa out here in Wyoming. I don't think they'd make it too long. But apparently they said they're coming. I don't know what it is they're coming for, but all right. Let's see how that plays out. That would be fun. Funny. And Jesus. Watching those little nitwits come out here with your mask on. Pulled a Billy or what was it? Not Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. Pull his shirt up over the head. Little hockey move. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll get back on the schedule here. I hope everybody has a great and safe 4th of July weekend. And as they said in Dazed and Confused, the teacher said, just remember when you're out there celebrating all that 4th of July brouhaha, that what you're actually celebrating is the fact that a bunch of aristocratic slave-owning white males didn't want to pay their taxes. That's been one of my favorite lines. 4th of July is great. It's going to be weird here. There's nobody here in this town. Usually there's 100,000 people in Cody, Wyoming. And I drive by the hotels. There's nobody here. With fuel prices, Yellowstone National Park flooded. People are going to be hurting in this town come wintertime because, I mean, we survive on this out here. Hotels, restaurants, trinket shops, you name it. I mean, this is a tourism-based economy. And with what Onion Head has done with fuel prices, we still have a lot of people out here in RVs and stuff, and I think those are people that have the money too, you know, to burn. But your average family that's, you know, jumping in the car and taking a week off or whatever to drive out here, the fuel prices are too much, hotel prices are too much, inflation is too much, it's just too much. And people might be making more, but when you calculate in inflation, and if you were to calculate inflation like they did in the 70s and 80s, it wouldn't be at the numbers that it's at. It'd be at least double it. And it's only fixing to get worse. So I wish I had better. My best advice I can give you right now is just stink tire. Make the stink tire and film it. I mean, if anything else, if nothing else, if you filmed the stink tire and you actually ended up getting one of these idiots doing that, and that would go viral. It would go viral. And if you do it based on my advice and how I'm telling you to do it, then just give me a shout out. Just give me somebody do this for God's sake. Somebody who lives in a metropolitan area where there's nitwits out there that are doing this. Please, I implore you, do it. Shout out to all you who know who you are. I'm not going to go through the list. You all know who you are. I love you all. Have a safe and fun and enjoyable holiday weekend. Keep all your digits intact, okay? You know, if you're lighting off fireworks, be fucking careful, you know? I mean, it's a fun thing, but it can get out of hand, you know? I mean, the best fireworks you could see would be the stink tire on some Antifa douchebag. Anyway, on that note, as we always say, be good or be good at it, and all things be kind, and do no harm unless it's a stink tire on what do they call themselves? The tire extinguishers. And that's not really doing any harm. It's just funny. I mean, you're not you're not maiming somebody. You're just giving them a little whiff, a little bad whiff. That's all. Just think of it like you're farting in somebody's face, like Peter Griffin and Meg. And if you haven't seen any of that, then Google it because it's funny. All right, I'm out. Later days, Willie Mays.